Stepchildren called me temporary again during dinner, so I stopped paying their bills and watched their plates go cold. Hello everyone, welcome to Reddit Visuals. You know, I used to believe that if you treated people's kids like your own, they'd eventually see you as family. Turns out, some people only see a wallet with legs, someone who pays for Wi-Fi, groceries, and their entire lifestyle while they mock you at the dinner table. My name's Greg. I'm 44, and for the past 6 years, I thought I was building a blended family. I met their mom, Denise, when my daughter Lily was 9. Denise had 2 kids from her previous marriage, Chloe, who was 17 at the time, and Ryan, who was 15. Their biological dad was the classic, fun weekend parent. The guy who'd show up with concert tickets and new sneakers, then vanish when report cards came home or when someone needed braces. I was the one who showed up every single day. I paid half the rent on the house we all lived in. Denise's name was on the lease, but my bank account kept the roof over our heads. I covered groceries, utilities, and car insurance for Chloe when she got her license, Ryan's football gear, all of it. Denise worked part-time as a medical receptionist, and her ex sent maybe $300 a month when he remembered. The math didn't work without me, and everyone knew it. At first, I didn't mind. I believed that stability mattered more than gratitude. I thought if I just kept showing up, kept being consistent, they'd eventually respect me. I repainted Ryan's room the color he wanted, dark blue with white trim. I built Chloe a vanity desk for her makeup because she'd mentioned wanting one. I bought a dining table big enough for all 5 of us because I wanted us to feel like a real family. Every Friday night, we had family dinners. No phones, no TV, just conversation. That's where I learned what temporary really meant to them. It started small. Little comments I tried to laugh off. Chloe would say things like, "Ryan, pass the salt to Mom's boyfriend," even though Denise and I had been together for 3 years at that point. Ryan would smirk and add, "You mean the guy paying the electric bill?" Denise would sigh and say, "Kids, stop," but she never really corrected them. She never sat them down and said, "Greg is part of this family, and you will respect him." She just let it slide, and I let it slide because I wanted to be the cool stepdad. The understanding one. The one who didn't make waves. But the comments got sharper. I started finding sticky notes around the house. One on the fridge, "Not our dad." One on the bathroom mirror, "Temporary." Different handwriting, which meant they were both doing it. My daughter Lily, quiet, sensitive, 13 years old by this point, started eating dinner in her room. One night, I knocked on her door and found her plate untouched on her desk. She was staring at her homework, but I could tell she wasn't reading it. "Lily, what's wrong?" I asked. She didn't look at me. "Chloe told me this isn't my real home. She said we're just guests and that you and Mom will probably break up anyway, so I shouldn't get comfortable." That gutted me. I went straight to Denise that night. She was in bed scrolling through her phone. I stood in the doorway and said, "We need to talk about your kids." She didn't even look up. "They're just adjusting, Greg. You know how teenagers are." I said, "Adjusting? Denise, it's been 4 years. When does the adjustment period end?" She finally put the phone down and gave me this tired look. "What do you want me to do? Ground them for making jokes?" "They're not jokes," I said. "They're telling my daughter she doesn't belong here. They're putting notes around the house, calling me temporary while I'm paying for their entire lives." She promised she'd talk to them. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Things quieted down for a couple of months. I thought maybe she'd actually said something. But then came the dinner that changed everything. It was a Sunday night in late October. I'd made lasagna from scratch, Denise's favorite. Garlic bread, Caesar salad, the whole thing. Everyone sat down. Ryan had just gotten his driver's license a few weeks earlier, and I was genuinely proud of him. I'd spent hours in the car with him practicing parallel parking, highway merging, all of it. So at dinner, I mentioned it. I said, "Ryan's getting really good behind the wheel. We practiced 3-point turns yesterday." Ryan looked up from his plate and said, "Yeah, thanks for the basics. But my real dad's gonna teach me the real stuff, like how to handle a manual transmission." Chloe snorted. Literally snorted. Then she said, "Why would he waste time teaching someone temporary?" The room went dead silent. I looked at Denise. She was cutting her lasagna, eyes down like she hadn't heard anything. I looked at Lily. Her eyes were filling with tears. She set down her fork and stared at her lap, and something inside me just clicked. Not snapped, clicked. Like a lock turning, something final and irreversible. I put down my fork, folded my napkin, stood up. "You're right," I said calmly. "Temporary people shouldn't be paying permanent bills." Chloe looked confused. Ryan stopped chewing. Denise finally looked up. "Greg, what are you talking about?" I walked to the living room, grabbed my laptop off the coffee table, and opened my banking app right there at the dinner table. A few taps and I canceled the automatic transfer I'd set up for my half of the rent. Then I canceled the one for utilities. Then groceries. Then the car insurance payment for Chloe's car. I did it all in about 90 seconds while they watched. Then I closed the laptop, looked at Denise and said, "Since I'm temporarily removing my financial support. Permanently." Chloe laughed. She actually laughed like I was bluffing. Ryan's face went pale. Denise stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Greg, you're being ridiculous. Sit down." "No," I said. "I'm being temporary." "That's what you all wanted, right?" I looked at Chloe. "You've got a job at that boutique downtown. Start budgeting." I looked at Ryan. "You just got your license. Time to learn what gas costs." Then I looked at Denise. "And you can figure out how to cover my half of the rent. I'm sure your ex will help. Or maybe your temporary boyfriend's replacement will." I walked to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and sat back down like nothing happened. The lasagna was still steaming. Nobody was eating. The silence was so thick, you could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the wall clock. Chloe's smirk was gone. Ryan was staring at his plate like it might give him answers. Denise's mouth was opening and closing, but no sound was coming out. Finally, she found her voice. "Greg, this is my home." "Right," I said. "Your name's on the lease." "My money's been keeping it." Past tense. She started to cry. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. "You're really going to do this? Over some stupid comments?" "Stupid comments?" I said. "Denise, your daughter just told me I'm temporary while I'm paying for her car insurance. Your son dismisses everything I do while I'm funding his entire lifestyle, and you sat there and said nothing, not one word. So yeah, I'm really going to do this." She followed me to the hallway, whispering harshly so the kids wouldn't hear. "We can work this out. We're a family." "No," I said. "You're a family." "I'm a bank." She grabbed my arm. "What about Lily? You're just going to uproot her again?" That stopped me. I looked back toward the dining room. Lily had left the table. I found her in her room, sitting on her bed with a small backpack already half-packed. She looked up at me with this calm, sad expression. "Dad, can we go home now?" She said it so simply, like she'd been waiting for permission to leave for months. I looked at her and realized she was right. This wasn't home. Not for her, not for me. It was just a place where we paid rent and got disrespected. The next morning, I called my buddy Marcus, who works in real estate. By Tuesday, he'd found us a 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Exposed brick walls, huge windows with actual sunlight, a safe neighborhood with good schools, the kind of place that felt like breathing after holding your breath underwater. I signed the lease on Wednesday. I gave Denise written notice that I was moving out in 2 weeks, per the roommate clause in the lease agreement we'd signed when I moved in. Legally, I was covered. She tried to argue, tried to say I was abandoning the family. I reminded her that family doesn't let your kid bully mine while you watch in silence. By Friday, I'd started packing, and here's where it got interesting. I'd kept every receipt for every piece of furniture I'd bought since moving in. The couch, mine. The TV, mine. The coffee table, mine. Lily's bedroom set, mine. Even the kitchen table I'd bought so we could all eat together. All of it purchased by me. All of it documented. Denise tried to stop me when the moving truck arrived. "You can't just take everything?" "I can take everything I personally purchased," I said. "Check your email. I sent you copies of every receipt this morning." I'd actually spent the night scanning and organizing them, just to make sure there'd be no confusion. Chloe came out of her room and called me petty. "This is so ridiculous. You're acting like a child." I didn't even look at her. I just kept loading boxes. Ryan muttered something about Karma being a witch. I stopped, turned around, and said, "You're right, Karma is. And she's got my forwarding address if you want to reach her." The move took 6 hours. By Saturday evening, Lily and I were unpacking in our new place. She set up her room exactly how she wanted it. Posters on the walls, her books organized by color, her desk by the window. That night, we ordered pizza and sat on the floor of the living room because I hadn't set up the couch yet. She looked at me and said, "Dad, it's really quiet here." "Is that bad?" I asked. She smiled. "No, it's good. It's like nobody's mad at us for existing." That hit me harder than anything Chloe or Ryan had ever said. My kid had been living in a house where she felt like she had to apologize for existing, and I'd let it happen for 4 years. 3 weeks went by. I didn't hear from Denise. Then, on a Tuesday night, my phone buzzed. A text from her. "Rent's due Friday. I'm short. Can you help this month?" I stared at that message for a full minute. Then I typed back, "Temporary people don't pay permanent bills. Good luck." She didn't respond. A month later, Lily came home from school grinning. "Dad, guess what?" "What?" "Chloe got a job at the coffee shop near the mall. I saw her there on my bus ride home. She looked miserable." I nodded. "Well, jobs'll do that when you're not used to working." Lily laughed, and it felt good. Light. Like we'd finally exhaled, but it wasn't over. 2 months after I moved out, Denise showed up at my apartment. It was a Saturday afternoon. Lily was at a friend's house, so it was just me. I opened the door, and Denise looked rough. Thinner, tired, hair pulled back in a messy bun. "Can I come in?" she asked. I didn't move. "What do you need, Denise?" She looked past me into the apartment. "They're struggling. We're struggling. The rent, the bills, groceries. I didn't realize how much you were covering. I thought I could make it work, but I can't." I said nothing. Just stood there. She kept going. "Chloe had to drop out of her college classes to work full-time. Ryan's talking about skipping college altogether to get a job. Greg, they're kids. They made mistakes. Can we please just talk about this?" I let the silence sit for a few seconds. Then I said, "Denise, I gave you 4 years. 4 years to teach your kids respect. 4 years to stand up for me and my daughter. You chose comfort over doing the right thing. You chose keeping the peace over protecting us. I don't have another 4 years to give you." Her face crumpled. "So that's it? You're just done?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm just done." She nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer. Then she turned and walked away. I watched her get into her car, and I didn't feel guilty. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. Later that night, I stood on the balcony of my apartment. The city lights were flickering below, and I could hear distant traffic, life moving forward. Lily was asleep on the couch with her homework spread out beside her. She'd fallen asleep studying for a history test. I covered her with a blanket and just looked around. The apartment was small. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours, and for the first time in years, it felt like peace. Months went by. I heard through mutual friends that Denise had to move to a cheaper place across town. Chloe was working 2 jobs to help with bills. Ryan had gotten a job at a warehouse and was talking about getting his own place. I didn't gloat. I didn't feel smug. I just nodded when people told me, because honestly, life has a way of teaching lessons that money never could. As for me and Lily, we built something better. Saturday morning pancakes became our thing. We started doing road trips, random ones, no plan, just drive and see where we end up. She joined the debate team at her new school and actually started talking at dinner again. One night she looked at me across the table and said, "Dad, I like it here. It's quiet, but it's ours. Nobody makes me feel bad for being here." And that sentence, those words, justified every single decision I'd made. Because here's what I learned. You can't fix people who enjoy disrespecting you. Time doesn't heal relationships where one side refuses to see you as human. Boundaries do. And the moment I drew mine, peace followed. Not immediately, not perfectly, but it followed. So maybe I lost a relationship. Maybe I lost the dream of a blended family. But I gained something infinitely more valuable, a daughter who knows her worth, and a life where respect isn't optional. You can't put a price on that. You can't rent it. You can't negotiate it. You either have it or you don't. And now, we have it. And that's worth more than any family dinner ever was. So what do you think? Was I wrong for walking away and cutting off financial support? Or was it the only way they'd ever learn consequences? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and keeps more real-life stories like this coming your way. Thanks for watching.